Have you ever gone to church or some kind of religious service and found that the preachers were boring? It happens. Not everyone can deliver a rousing sermon that captures the attention of their entire audience. If you were to travel back in time to the days of ancient Israel, you would find a much different kind of preacher, but a preacher that still had a hard time getting their audience's attention. These men and women were called the prophets of Israel. Hosea preached to the people of Israel about their unfaithfulness to God and injustice to each other by marrying a prostitute and having a tumultuous marriage. To predict the judgment that would come against Ethiopia and Egypt, the prophet Isaiah walked around naked and barefoot for 3 years. The prophet Amos goes from looking at a basket of fruit to crying, "So many dead bodies! They are thrown everywhere!" just to make a point. Jeremiah used a rotten, thrown away, already been worn undergarment to illustrate the uselessness of his people's religiosity. And Ezekiel illustrated the impending invasion and siege against Jerusalem by lying on his side for over a year and cooking his bread over cow dung. How would you like your preacher to try one of these illustrations? Which is worse, boring or weird? The preachers of ancient Israel certainly weren't dull or boring, but the prophets of Israel and Judah were willing to go to these bold extremes to address the real, serious, pervasive problems of injustice, oppression, and violence in their world. They meant to shock people and disrupt their comfort. Their behavior is intentionally bizarre and extreme in order to shake people out of their complacency. These prophets were intentional about encouraging people to see the error of their ways and to follow God's path. The spirit of the prophets was to look at the harsh reality of the human condition and shout no to those who create suffering and injustice. The prophets, as you might guess, were not well received by the religious establishment or the political elites. Even though their warnings were also filled with promises of hope and restoration, they often faced persecution and rejection. And Jesus, as it turns out, was one of them. So what about today? Are there any voices speaking in the spirit of the prophets?